listening to Rescue Community Church. For more information, check us out at www.rescue.cc.
For music, I love to lead worship. I think music does something to the soul. So I just wanted to talk to you, take a few minutes. I want to tell you a story in the Bible that I think is incredible, that we've all probably heard before but didn't realize the magnitude of it. So I'm just going to pray and then I'd like to start. Father, I thank you so much for this opportunity. I thank you that you're good to us. I thank you that you let us express ourselves in ways that are good for us and that we enjoy, God. I ask that you would move in our hearts. I pray that you would open our hearts, Lord, and let us hear from you. In your name we pray. Amen. So what is worship? I looked it up in the dictionary. Okay, let's be honest. I didn't look it up in the actual dictionary. I Googled it, and then, the dictionary came up. So I was thinking about it as I was researching this, and my children are never going to know, like, the library systems. Do you guys remember, like, the cards and the numbers that you had to look up in the library to find books? My children are not going to have to do that. They're not going to know what these things... Quite frankly, my daughter does all of her devotions on her iPad. She does her devotion. She reads books on she hardly ever has actual books. So I'm not going to have to say, I hated it. When I was a kid, my mom used to say to me, if I asked her what something meant, she goes, I don't know, go look it up. So she always used to make me look it up. And we had encyclopedias, and my children are never going to use an encyclopedia. So we used to have to look it up. So it kind of made me chuckle because my children are never going to have to go through the torture of looking it up in the book. They're going to type it in and it's going to come up for them. So, well, what is it? According to the dictionary says it's the feeling or expression of reverence and adoration for a deity. Or deity is another word for God. If I didn't know what deity was, my mom would have made me go look it up. In another encyclopedia, because it wouldn't have been in the, the W, I'd had to go look for it in the stupid E, or the D. So it means a feeling or expression of adoration. And why do we do it then? Why do we do it? It says, so it's in reverence or adoration for a deity, because God deserves our praise. God has done unbelievable, incredible things for us. The fact that we got up this morning is because God allowed it. God gave us a new day. So we should worship because he deserves our praise. That's it. That's the reason. Bottom line is he deserves it. So why is it then, if we know that God is great and we know that he's good for us and we know that he does great things for us, why is it that we don't? And I think it's this reason and this reason alone. It's because our focus is on ourselves and not on God. It's very, very easy to get there. So as I'm preparing for this sermon, I came up on this study that was done by this lady named Vicki Medvec. And she was a professor at Northwestern University. And so she studied Olympic medalists for years. And she asked them all sorts of questions. She asked, how hard did they work? She asked these Olympic medalists, she studied specifically silver and bronze medalists. Because when you're a gold medalist, you're just super stoked. I mean, you won the gold medal. You're the greatest athlete in the world in your thing that you do. By the way, how is curling a sport? Can somebody tell me? I think it's pretty awesome. They have their little brooms. But it's an Olympic sport. I just feel like I could do it. And maybe I couldn't, but I'm not an overly athletic woman, so I don't know how it's an Olympic sport. So anyway, she studied these silver and bronze medalists, and she found that silver medalists as a whole were much less satisfied than bronze medalists were. And I thought, that can't be right. So I reread it, and it turns out that a silver medalist is just totally bummed that they didn't get gold. All they can think about is, I came short, I didn't get the gold, I didn't win first place. Bronze medalists, on the other hand, are like, I made it on the stand, I didn't get fourth, I'm super excited, I'm here. I get a bronze medal. And I think it's insane. I would think to myself when I read it, because I had to read it again, I'm like, my gosh, I got silver, I'm number 2 in the world. That's amazing. At curling, I'm number 2 in the world. It's awesome. That's not the case. Most of them the feeling they had was disappointment that they came up short. So what does that have to do with anything? I think that is human nature. Our focus determines our reality. And often our circumstances, we don't look at them as objective. In this case, the silver medalist would have been happier if the circumstances were objective, if we looked at it objectively. They got second place. It's better than third. But not in their eyes. They were upset that they didn't get first. So the ultimate choice is how we feel is determined by our subjective focus. Or in other words, our internal attitudes become more important than our external circumstances. Truth is, the bronze medalist is just thrilled they got a medal. But second place is bummed that they didn't get first. So instead of seeing it for what it really is, that they're second in the world, they're disappointed because they're not first. So often what happens with us is we tend to see what we're looking for. They wanted first place, so all they could see was first place, and they don't see anything else. I don't know about you, but I think there's two kind of people in the world. So you've got the half glass, half full, and half empty. You all know those people that are half full. They're happy, they enjoy life, they think it's great. I'm trying to teach my children this concept. It's going over less smoothly than I would like. Because I said, well, you can look at it as the glass is half empty or half full. And Noah goes, it's the same water, Mom, and I'm still mad that I can't play. I'm like, okay, but here's the thing. My 6-year-old son is right. There is no difference in that cup of water. It's the same level of water. It's how we look at it. You all know people in your life that instantly are just complainers. I mean, they complain about everything. It's too hot in the summer. It's too cold in the winter. There's not enough air conditioning. I don't like how my pants feel. I don't like my shirt. My job stinks. I hate this. I hate that. Nothing in life is good enough. And then you know those people that sometimes, let's be honest, can be a little annoying. They're just happy all the time. Oh, well, at least the sun's out and it's not raining. And at least I'm like, shh. Sometimes I just want him to be quiet. But the truth is that's not fair or right. And I think all of us need to change our focus because our focus determines our reality. Nothing else determines your reality but what you're focusing on. Because the truth of the matter is we're all sitting here in this room. That is objective reality. But all of you are going through different things. All of you will leave this room hearing something different from what I say today. You're all going to pick a piece out of it. It's because it's what you will focus on. So let's face it, in life, we all have theories about everything all the time. I feel like the world is going to implode here soon. Between Facebook, I used to love to just scroll on Facebook and see my friends' kids from college and high school and see funny memes and that sort of thing. But now I just want to shut it off because I can't handle it. Because everybody has an opinion and a theory about everything. Everything is a big deal right now. Everything. People are angry about lions, and people are angry about this, and people are complaining. People have such polar opposite ideas about one particular. Think about the situations that have happened with police officers and the Confederate flag in Ferguson. One situation, one thing happened. I have a very, very, very intense opinion about these things. I think that our police officers work really hard for us. And I think, yes, there's a bad apple in every bunch. Every bunch. Not just police officer bunches, not just minority bunches or white bunches. There are bad apples in every bunch, but we can't, it's where our focus is. What are we focusing on? Where do we focus? That's the problem. So here's what happens with us. When we get theories in our head, when we have an idea, is it so true that somebody can tell you really compelling arguments for the other side, but you don't care? Because you have your theory already. Doesn't matter. You don't care what's going on in life. You don't care what they say. I mean, you could know in your gut that they are absolutely right, but you're not giving it up because it's your theory. It's what you're focused on. It's what you think's important. We do that all the time. I remember in high school there was one girl that just did not like me. She didn't like me. I'm a pretty nice person. She just didn't like me no matter what I did. She didn't like me. And then at the end, by our senior year, we became friends, and happy ending. It doesn't always turn out that way. But here's the thing. You go into things with these mindsets, and they're really difficult to change. Why are they difficult to change? Because it's what we're focused on. What we focus on makes our reality. So what on earth does that have to do with worship? As I was doing this today, I'm like, I better pull this all together because I'm going off in left field here. But I swear, it does pull in. So what does it have to do with worship? I think it's this. I think worship, when we worship, we make a decision to look for something to praise God about, even in the worst of circumstances. The Bible doesn't tell us that we worship God only when we feel like it, or God deserves our worship when we've had a really great day, or God deserves our worship when we get a raise. Or, it's funny because we're watching, Alexander and the No Good, Terrible, Horrible, Very Bad Day. We're watching that this Wednesday. Well, I want to tell you about two people in the Bible that had this same, actually a very terrible, maybe even worse, horrible, very bad day. And it was Paul and Silas. And it's in Acts 16. You guys honestly should go home and read the whole chapter for yourself because the story's amazing. But I'll give you a little bit of a backstory. So Paul and Silas have gone and they are preaching the gospel everywhere. And they end up casting out a demon of a fortune teller. And the boss or her master is pretty mad because this fortune teller made him a lot of money. And she was begging, she was freed. So they cast the demon out of her. So the master's so mad that he calls the police. Well, I guess the police at that time. I don't know if they were called guards. I don't know. He calls and Paul and Silas get arrested. So it says in Acts 16:22, this will be the focal point of in the next couple verses of the story. So it says in Acts 16:22, a mob quickly formed against Paul and Silas, and the city officials ordered them stripped and beaten with wooden rods. They were severely beaten, and then they were thrown into prison. The jailer was ordered to make sure that they didn't escape, so he took no chances, but he put them into the inner dungeon and clamped their feet in the stocks. All right, so let's talk about this. So if you're Paul and Silas, see, I like to think of things like movies. You guys know us by now. We love to watch movies. It's one of our favorite things to do. So I like to think of things in a movie. So I'm thinking Paul and Silas are super stoked. They've been with Jesus. They've done these great miracles. Now they've just cast a demon out of this girl. This girl is set free. It's going to be a great day. It's going to be awesome. Not so much. They get arrested, they get beaten, and it's not bad enough that they're thrown in it didn't say that they were outside in the stocks. It didn't say that they were in a cell up top. It says they were in an inner dungeon, and then they clamped their feet in the stocks. I don't think I've had a day that bad. I don't think that I have been in a day that was quite that bad. And these men were serving Jesus. It's not like they were doing terrible things. It's not like they were the fortune tellers. They freed this girl of her demons. So if I were Paul and Silas, first of all, if we're talking about me, and it's good that I'm not God or I wasn't Paul and Silas because I think the story would have turned out a little bit differently. Paul and Silas were probably emotionally, spiritually, mentally, and physically drained. They were probably like, what? This is what I'm thinking. If I'm putting myself in their shoes, they were just done. I would have been totally done. Have you guys ever felt that way? Ever walked into church and you're like, ugh? Or have you ever woken up in the morning and like, I don't feel like going today. I'm tired. I don't feel like setting up. I don't feel like putting anything away. I don't feel like sitting through. I just like to sleep in. I had a busy week. Yesterday I didn't get to do the stuff I needed to get done. Have you ever just felt like that? You're like, ugh. Or I sing out of key, or I sing the wrong song that you don't like, or it's too loud, or you don't know any of the songs, and you're like, how do I engage in that? Again, our focus, it's where our focus is. So, I often feel stressed. There's plenty of things that can keep me from worshiping God, but I have to remember that my focus determines my reality. So if I walk in that door and I'm Miss Cranky Pants, and sometimes I can be, you can attest the people that come early, I have a frowny face on, as Abby calls it. She's like, turn that frowny face upside down, Mom. And I'm like, go downstairs. I don't want to hear it, Abby. And then she's right. The truth is she's right. So it doesn't get much worse than what Paul and Silas were feeling in this moment. They were beaten. I would have been like, God, I thought you were supposed to have my back. I thought you were supposed to take care of me. And Paul and Silas, their backs are bleeding. They were beaten and now they're in jail. So that's why this next verse is amazing to me. You can put it up. It's Acts 16:25. It says, around midnight, Paul and Silas were complaining about their circumstances. They were angry, right? That's what it says, right? Wrong. I'm wrong. It says, around midnight, Paul and Silas were praying and singing hymns to God, and the other prisoners were listening. When I read that, I'm like, come on, because I don't think that would be me. It says around midnight, so they have had a very long day. They've cast a demon out. They've gone, a mob came, beat them. They're in a dungeon, and let me say, prisons back then were not like the prisons of America. Pretty sure they didn't get 3 square meals or earn their degree. So they're in a dirt basement and in stocks. I can't believe that that's true. What happened to them? How did they do it? I think that Paul and Silas zoomed out. They zoomed out of their circumstance. They zoomed out of what was going on. They didn't focus on their current circumstance, and they realized who God really was. That God was good. That God had used them earlier that day to cast out a demon. He was still using them. They focused on that instead of what was actually happening to them. I had a situation where God really woke me up. Our daughter Abby was born premature, and I had a very long delivery. It was 18, well, for me it felt long. Other ladies have had longer ones, but it was 18 hours, and she finally, and my children have like off the charts heads. They were gigantic. When I say off the charts, it's not exaggeration. Their heads were physically not on the charts. It was like 114 or like off the charts. So it was an unpleasant experience delivering all 3 of my children. If I'm honest, it wasn't pleasant. So my daughter Abby was born. They took her out. She was screaming because think about first of all, we're talking about terrible experiences. Can you fathom that for a baby? They have no idea they're ever coming out of there, and then all of a sudden it's bright and cold. It'd be terrible. I'm glad I don't remember that. I'm glad they don't remember it. So my daughter Abby was born. We thought she was completely fine. You know how they take, if you haven't had children yet, I'm sorry if I'm ruining for you. So they took Abby away. They gave her, there's normal tests they take to just make sure everything's okay. So it was about a half an hour, 45 minutes, and I'm getting a little bit concerned because I haven't seen Abby yet. And I kept asking the doctor, because remember, I told you sometimes I can get a little cranky, and I just had an 18-hour delivery and off-the-charts child. I was not pleasant. So I said, where is my daughter? I would like to hold her. I want to see her. They said, oh, we're doing some more tests. So then I'm starting to get a little bit indignant. It has now been a couple of hours, and nobody has told me what's going on with my daughter. So they end up coming back, and they said, well, Abby's not doing well. Her lungs are not developed. She cannot breathe on her own. And I'm like, what? So of course, if you know me as well, I cry a lot. So instantly I start to weep. And I'm like, is she going to be okay? Is she going to be okay? They're like, well, honestly, ma'am, we don't know. And I'm like, what do you mean you don't know? So of course, crazy woman comes into play, and I'm crying, and I'm like, Tom, you got to fix this. You got to fix this. What's going on? You got to fix this. Tom's like, I can't fix it. I don't know. So that night, the middle of the night, they come in and they said, look, she's not doing better, so we have to lifeline her to a hospital that can take care of her. So I'm like, at this moment, I just felt helpless, and I was panicked, and Abby was born December 22nd. So I also, Mackenzie, so there she is. The next one makes me cry. They put her in an incubator, and so I held her. As soon as I had her, they like skin-to-skin touch, and then I didn't hold her. They put her in a box on the incubator, and I got to put my arm in and through gloves and touch her. And then Tom, and they wouldn't let us fly in the helicopter with her. They said, hey, she's got to go now. So they put her in the helicopter. Tom got out. I couldn't go out. Now I'm just weeping uncontrollably. So I start saying, I am leaving this place. They're like, no, ma'am, you just had a baby. You need to sit. I'm like, no, I said, I will take these IVs out myself. You get me the release papers, because she was flying an hour and a half away from where I was. And so we went in. We didn't hold her till she was over a week old because she couldn't be out of the incubator. So it is Christmas morning. It's 3 days later. She was born on the 22nd, and I am angry. I'm scared and I'm angry. We had to come in full scrubs. We had to put everything on. And I was really focused on my circumstance. Mackenzie was only 15 months old at home. And at this point, she couldn't really come in to see Abby. So I spent Christmas morning without my other daughter. So I am mad. I'm like, God, why? I love you. I serve you. Why is this happening? I don't get it. And beside me, and in where we were, there was a lot of babies that were tinier. I mean, Abby she was born 7 pounds, so she wasn't tiny. And so there was another couple that their baby was right beside me, and they actually had taken their baby to a separate room. And this Christmas morning, and I just remember I was standing there feeling so sorry for myself. Like, gosh, I'm not with my kids, I'm not with my family. And I'll never forget this moment as long as I live. All of a sudden, you see the doctor walk into their room and close the door behind it. And a few minutes, 2-3 minutes later, you just hear a mom, like a guttural cry. Just started crying, and you hear the dad, we're gonna be, and you hear them yelling, not like yelling at each other, but like, when crying hysterically. And an hour later, they walk out holding each other. They're still crying. They walk out, and about 10 minutes later, they wheel out the baby. The baby didn't make it. And I'm like, oh, God, I'm sorry. I'm here yelling at you, and this poor family's baby is not going to be okay. At that point, it was 3 days later, and Abby was going to be fine. It was just a matter of how long she was going to be in there. Here's our problem. In those moments, I wasn't focusing on how good God was. I was focusing on my reality that I had made. Woe is me. Life is so bad. And this couple lost their baby and wasn't going to get and Christmas Day will forever be changed for that family. And I am complaining because I am sitting here and I didn't get to take my baby home day 1 or day 2. Abby was only there for 9 days, and if you've ever heard that kid talk, she's got a good set of lungs. If you've ever heard her yell, she's absolutely 100% fine. There was no complications afterwards. She's never had anything wrong. And so here's the problem with us and with me. We focus on our circumstances and our reality. So how do you get out of it? You have to worship God in the good and the bad. Worship takes our eyes off our external circumstances and focuses it on God. If I would have said, Lord, I know you're in control. I'm going to trust you that my daughter is going to be okay. Because instead of focusing on those things, I focused on why'd she have to get Lifeline? Why couldn't she stay in this hospital? I went, that vicious cycle you get into when life stinks? You get stuck. I was stuck. I could have been in a foreign country. I could have been at a place where my daughter would have died. I could have been in a place where if there wasn't modern medicine, or if I decided to deliver my daughter at home, she cried. I would have had no idea there would have been anything wrong with her if I would have delivered Abby at home. So here's what happens when we worship. We focus on the goodness of God no matter what. He is the same yesterday, today, and forever. So if God was good enough to die on the cross for us, he is good enough to get us through what we're going through today. He doesn't change. Paul and Silas got it. They could have absolutely complained. They had every right. If anybody had a right to complain, it would have been them. They would have had the right. They're in jail. I don't know of any person that throws a party when they go to jail. It's jail. It's jail. It's terrible. They could have been complaining and everybody would have gotten it. But instead, here's the thing, what happened. They started to sing. Does anybody in here like music? Anybody at all? Yeah? I think music is spectacular, and here's why. I think it does something to our very soul. How many of you remember verbatim the conversation that you had in the car this morning? Can anybody recite word for word the conversation they had in the car on the way this morning? Nope. But I can tell you, I can sing a song from 6th grade. I can tell you where I was when I heard it. I can sing every word. When that thing comes on the radio, you best believe that I know every song. I can even remember some of the outfits I wore in songs. I can remember when we were at a dance and a song played and I thought a boy was cute. I can remember and I feel those feelings all over again. But I cannot tell you what I said this morning. I don't know what I said this morning. And I think this is why. God knows there's something supernatural about music. I want to prove my point a little bit here. We're going to play a little game this morning. It's called Name That Tune, okay? I was going to have one of you come up on either side and sing it, but here's what we're going to do. We're going to do this side against this side. We're going to play a few notes of a song, and we're going to see who gets it, okay? You have a chance. There's five songs, so you have a chance to win, all right? So, Tom, are you ready for the first song? All right, now I do want to let you, there is a bunch of different songs. It's not just current songs, so those of you who do not listen to current radio, there will be some songs for you. So, all right, here we go. Here's the first song. Anybody? Happy, it's right, we got it. It's Happy. And instantly, first of all, I just want you to know that while I was talking to you, none of you were doing this. None of you were bobbing your head while I was talking. The second that comes on, you start moving. So, all right, you guys got it. We figured we'd start with an easy one. It actually says the title in what we're singing. So, all right, let's go to number 2.
I picked these songs.
Yes, my husband picked them, so. This one, what is it?
Rusted Root.
It is Rusted Root, girlfriend. Do we know who it is? Do you know what song it is?
They're from Pittsburgh. Listen to it.
Honestly, some of my favorite people, quite frankly, they're some of the weirdest people I've ever met in my entire life, if I'm honest. And if you've ever gone to see them in a show, you think you done lost your mind, but it's wonderful. So, all right, Send Me On My Way by Rusted Root. All right, number 3. All the girls instantly like, it's all of me. Yes, all of you were like, oh. You got it. It's all of me. All right, number 4. This is a good one, guys. This one's a good one of my all-time favorites. I think Alyssa likes music. This girl knows. It's Brown Eyed Girl. We sing Blue Eyed Girl. Tom used to sing Blue Eyed Girl to me because I have blue eyes. And now he sings Brown Eyed. He switched the song because the girls have brown eyes. All right, and if all of you don't get number 5, then I don't think you live in America. Or you've never done anything outside of your living room. I don't care if you, yes, we will rock you, right? You can sing it if you want. That one got louder. See, and there's fist pumping in the back. People are losing their minds. All right, so here's the thing. There were all sorts of different genres of music there. Honestly, if you don't know We Will Rock You, I don't think you have ever been outdoors. You don't have to be, here's the thing. You don't have to like athletics. You don't have to like sports events. Everybody knows that song. There were all different genres of music. There were all different types of music, but most of us, was there a song, had anybody not heard a song there? Maybe Send Me On My Way, right? Did you not hear Send Me On My Way? Yeah, maybe Send Me On My Way. Well, that's all right. Here's the thing. We all, and look at everybody, let me tell you, in the past 2 minutes, everybody's demeanor changed a little bit. We kind of perked up a little bit. You have smiles on your face. I guarantee all of you are thinking of some time where you heard one of those songs and it brought a memory. Maybe we'll do it every time, right in the middle, just say, name that tune. Here's the thing, I was thinking about this, and I love music, I always have. When Tom and I were first dating, it was easy to just go to a coffee shop and listen to somebody play music. It made coffee more enjoyable. It made me beat him. I was beating him at cards. We used to play cards at this coffee shop. It made beating him much more enjoyable than when I do it at home. I had serenade to beat him at cards. See, here's the thing, music does something to our soul. If we got up and I just spoke the words of the song to you, it would not make a difference. How many of you have ever seen, here's the thing, why do you think commercials use jingles? Why do you think there are songs that go to everything? People want you to remember, and music does that. That's why we start church with music. That's why we start with an upbeat song to kind of get your head. I mean, honestly, Happy, if you saw what I saw right now, you'd understand. You guys are proving my point beautifully. I wish you kind of saw what I saw. So here's the thing. People pay exorbitant amounts of money to go to concerts. Think about it. You are going and you are watching some dude sing at you. We were looking at tickets. My children love Pentatonics, like greatest. They love them. They think it's the greatest thing in the whole entire world. My Abby knows their birthdays and how old it's ridiculous. It's shocking, quite frankly. So we wanted to get them tickets to go see Pentatonics. It was Pentatonics and Kelly Clarkson. And I was excited about Kelly Clarkson. And they're like, who's that? I'm like, shame on you. She was the first American Idol winner. You should know that. And so we went to look. She was at Hershey, and we went to look, and they were $100 a ticket. And I'm like, you guys are sorry. I love you very much, but it's not happening. I mean, $500 for a family to go see Pentatonics and Kelly Clarkson. Guess what? That Hershey Park Giant Arena was sold out for her. It was sold out. And $100 tickets weren't the most expensive ones. People shell out money like crazy for shows, things they wouldn't normally do. But think about it. Think about how much money people spend on music. Some of the richest people on the planet are musicians. Why? Because music transcends things. Think about it. You can play the national anthem in another country and somebody could sing it in another language, but anywhere it's sung, I get goosebumps. I could be any place else, and when people know our national anthem, not because of the words, because of the music. So here's the thing. We have to start worship. What worship does, it brings joy to our very soul. It restores our spiritual balance. It helps us regain perspective. It enables us to find something right to praise God about, even when everything seems to go wrong. When you decide to worship on a Sunday morning, and here's the thing, I promise you, if you decide to worship more than on a Sunday morning, your life is going to look different. I listen to worship in the car. I listen when I clean because I hate to clean, and somehow it changes my attitude when I'm cleaning because I hate it. So I found this really great quote by George Bernard Shaw, and here's what it says. I might have to read it twice. It says, "People are always blaming their circumstances for what they are." He said, "I don't believe in circumstances. The people who get on in this world are the people who get up and look for the circumstances they want, and if they can't find them, they make them." You have to make your reality. You have to do it. We have a responsibility. I'm absolutely convinced that the biggest choice and the most important choice that you're going to make every single day is your attitude and what you focus on. Our attitude and what we focus on changes everything. It's more important than your external circumstances. I have been to foreign countries before, and I'll never forget little kids who I'm giving them a pair of shoes, and we're not talking Nikes. We're talking about like just shoes, because if you look at their sweet feet, they have nothing. But when I handed this child a pair of sneakers, it was in Ecuador, and another moment I'll never forget. It was a tiny pair of sneakers, and it was like I gave her $1 million. Why? Because her focus had changed. She wasn't focused on her poverty. She wasn't focused on what was going on in her life. She was so excited because she got a pair of shoes, and she didn't have to wear her shoes that were her brother's that were 10 times too big and holes. She was excited for a pair of shoes, and I complained because the 40 pair in my closet, I want a new pair. Our circumstances our focus and our attitude has to change. At the end of the day, one way or the other, your focus what you worship, who you seek, is going to make your reality. If you wake up in the morning and you commit to being cranky and complain and arms crossed and thinking about everything that's bad, I don't care what you do, your day is going to suck. It is. If you wake up in the morning and you're convinced that everything is terrible and nothing good is going to happen to you, even when something does happen to you, you can't see it. This is the best part of what happens at the end of the story with Paul and Silas. Their worship changed the supernatural atmosphere. Here's the rest of the story. So they start singing. The jailer starts listening. All the prisoners start listening to, and an earthquake happens. An earthquake happens. The stocks on their feet break. The jail room door opens, and these men can leave the jail cell. Other prisoners, please, can you imagine right now if down the road in Camp Hill, if all of a sudden there was an earthquake and all the doors opened to the jail cells? Do you think they're all going to be like, I'm going to stay here. It's nice and cool inside. No, they're going to run. They're going to run away. Well, here's what happens. The jailer is so scared because what happened in the beginning of the story? He said, these guys cannot get out of jail. That's why you put them in the inner dungeon and you put stocks on. So the jailer is so afraid about what's going to happen to him because not only did their jail doors open, all the jail doors opened. That guy's in trouble. He's in big trouble. He was so afraid he was going to kill himself. Paul and Silas do not leave their jail cell. They stay and they talk to this jailer. And at the end of the story, not only the jailer, but his entire family gets saved. The whole family. Here's what happened. Paul and Silas could have chatted with each other. They could have prayed over each other. And I think all of those things are great. I think sermons are great. I think talking to each other in Bible study is great. I think all of those things are a part of our relationship with the Lord. But worship changes the supernatural atmosphere. That music, the things they were singing, all of the other people in jail heard them and they listened, and it changed so much that it caused an earthquake. Here's the thing. I guarantee when Paul and Silas were in that jail cell, that was not what they expected to happen. I think that they were probably content to stay there because they knew their focus was on worshiping God because He was good. When we worship God, it sets us up for miracles. I'm sorry. That's a miracle that you cannot plan for. I guarantee there's been lots of prayers prayed in jail. Please, just something, open up the doors so I can run. They couldn't have planned for this. But because their focus was in the right spot, because they were worshiping God for who He was and not their circumstance, it changed not only their life, but it changed the life of the jailer and his family. You have no idea what your worship can not only do for you, but what it can do for the people around you. It can open up the gates of heaven. It can change your life. So you have two choices today. You can worship God in your circumstance. They didn't wait till they got out of jail to worship God. They worshiped Him in the dungeon, in stocks, with no answer and no tangible way out, no foreseeable way of getting out. They worship God in their circumstance. Or you can remain the same and stay stuck in your chains of complaining, of being angry, of saying, woe is me all the time. You can absolutely stay stuck if you want. That is your choice. God's awesome. He's a gentleman. He doesn't make you do anything you don't want to do. But if you choose this morning and you make a conscious effort that I'm going to wake up in the morning and I'm going to worship the Lord. I don't care if you have a terrible voice. I'm pretty sure Paul and Silas were not One Direction, or they weren't Luke Bryan, or they weren't whoever. I'm sure they were just these, think about it, wasn't their profession. They were just men that had been preaching all day and they started singing because it came from their soul. So what we're going to do for the next couple of minutes, I'm going to give you the opportunity to worship. The band isn't going to be up here. We're just going to play 2 songs. The words are going to be on the screen. But I want to challenge you this morning. We can very easily get caught in our rut, and we can very easily get caught in what is bad and what we don't have and our current circumstances. It's easy. And some of you, let's be honest, some of you deserve to be angry about things that have happened to you or the things that you're going through. You deserve to be angry, but it doesn't mean you have to be. Take today, take tomorrow and say, God, I'm going to worship you in spite of my circumstance because it's going to bring healing to me and maybe those around us. Maybe the very people in your life that see you complaining all the time, maybe the very thing they need is for you to stop complaining at work on Monday morning. Maybe they need to see a difference in you. Maybe your kids, I know for me, I'm not just speaking to you, I'm speaking at myself. I find myself spinning so many plates and I complain and I am like, I'm exhausted and what the heck, I can't do another thing. And I am showing my children that the blessings of God have become an annoyance to me. I don't want to be that. I want to show the people and the kids in my life, my children, that when God gives us something and even when it's bad, God is good. He deserves our worship. He deserves our praise. Our circumstances cannot keep us from telling God who He truly is. So I'm going to take the opportunity. I'm going to come where you normally are. And I'm going to worship God with you this morning. We're going to sing that last song that we sang. I know that it's new, but it's a pretty easy one. And then we're going to sing another one. And I'm going to pray over you quickly, and you are welcome to be dismissed. But honestly, give it a shot. Even if it's weird to you to sing or raise your hands, give it a shot. Singing to the Lord caused an earthquake and a jail cell to be opened. What could it do in your life? What could it really do for you? It could do something great if you let it. But you have to take the first step and do it. So, Father, I thank you so much for each person that's here. I thank you that you've given us the opportunity to spend time with you this morning, Lord. And most of all, God, you deserve our praise. We love you with everything that we are this morning. So in the next few moments, God, I pray that we would give back to you all that you deserve. And Lord, for those of us that have to go into circumstances that stink, God, I ask that you would help us to see you through our circumstance. God, help us to zoom out and focus on you. We love you this morning. In your precious name we pray. Amen.
You are listening to Rescue Community Church. For more information, check us out at www.rescue.cc.